Now, this is really important to note for everybody who has decided, for whatever reason, not to join our Patreon page. This is a good reason why you should have, because we had 2 races last week. One was available for free on YouTube. The one that was not available for free on YouTube, but was available on Patreon, Chad hit a 35-1 shot that actually got... I thought was a very... I was shocked that was... it turned out to be a dead heat, but it was still a 35-1 shot. So, Chad, that was an awesome one. You seem to hit about, 6 or 7 of those a year. And if 5 or 6 of them are on Patreon, well, it's too bad for everybody. Congratulations on that one, Chad. That was a good one.
I would think so. I called him the winner. I don't know where it was a dead heat, but I guess they put it up. So.
Yeah. That I don't know. Was that like the angle?
Well, put it this way: the horse that dead heated for the win was a Chad Brown horse named Running Bee.
Uh-oh.
The horse was unsaddled, and the jockey went back to the jock's room because they all thought they lost,
including us, Chad.
I mean, it brought back memories of champagne poetry and shotgun hottie all over it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, even the announcers, they were a little caught off guard, too. So, everybody was. But anyway, that was Fort Washington, who actually was a 12-1 shot. The morning line shot up to 35-1. And, yeah, that was painful. But at least, the good thing was that the horse would have been like 15-1, and then you get the dead heat, and then you get getting only like payoff of like 7-1 odds. That really stings. At least even at 35-1, you were able to get, what was the payout, John?
33 or $35.
Yeah, so still an excellent payout. So not as good as 70, but excellent nonetheless. Okay, so now we go to the race of the week, and that is the Ohio Derby, Grade 3, $500,000, 3-year-olds, mile and an eighth. It should go off about 6:30, so that's about, an hour or so after we're done with the Aqueduct race. The favorite in the race, who should be the favorite in the race, Catching Freedom. Sheet-wise, it doesn't look like there's any horse in this race, John, that can touch Catching Freedom, the Brad Cox trained horse, which is why I'm going to play Catching Freedom and try to find a couple of long shots. That's it. Catching Freedom looks like this is all made for this horse.
I respectfully disagree with you. I think you need to go back to your learning how to read sheets, because I think you're making a mistake here.
Okay, then that's what you're here for, is to educate me and us. So tell us why you don't like Catching Freedom.
Because he's running the Kentucky Derby. He's running the Preakness. How many races do you think they're going to get out of a horse in a short period of time? Can he win? Of course he could win. But he's also due to go backwards. He's shipping into the track. Listen, he could win. He could definitely win. But why is he that much better than Copper Tax? As far as numbers are concerned. How far away is Copper Tax?
A point from him? Twice.
If he wasn't in the race, who would you pick?
Oh, yeah. Copper Tax has the 10 and a bunch of 11s. Yeah.
Okay, so what does Catching Freedom have?
2 9s and a 10.
So how much better is that? A point better or 2 points better?
Yeah, I guess
Not
the
only
odds...
that, he's been through a grueling series of races. He's been squeezed for the Derby. He's been squeezed for the Preakness. Again.
Yeah, the one thing that I'm just concerned with, and again, I know this has nothing to do with the sheets, and that's why I can see why you're totally not even going to give it a thought. But when I take a look at the other 2 graded stakes, the only 2 graded stakes races, when this horse had to actually step up in competition, the horse ran a 20 and a 17, like 2 of the worst races of his career.
Yeah, well, one was at Tampa when he shipped into Tampa. Plenty of horses don't like running at Tampa. And, I don't know. The other race in New York when he ran Wet Bed, that was his first time at the distance and his first time around 2 turns. So those were the reasons. Well, okay. I guess he ran around 2 turns.
Let me just interject here a couple of things quickly. When you talk about Catching Freedom, there's 3 things of note. Okay, he's the eye candy in the race for sure. He's the headliner. There's no doubt about it. On form, he has the best form and the best credentials in the race. Here's the problem. Again, I'll go back to jockeys. Flavian Pratt finished 4th on this horse in the Derby, 3rd in the Preakness, and won the Louisiana Derby. And tells Brad Cox, who he likes riding for and rides a lot for, no, I'm going to ride the $100,000 stake, the wild applause in New York because I don't want to go to Thistledowns. I'm sorry. If this horse was the real deal, Flavien Prat says I want to stay aboard. The second thing is, this is not a track that's really conducive to horses that come from way out of it. I don't know how many horses Brad Cox has ever run at Thistledowns in the history of his lifetime. And this horse needs pace in front of him. He shows no interest early. I know Luis Saez rode him well when he was third in the Risen Star, and he's going to try and give him a little bit of a more aggressive ride. But there's not a ton of early speed in this race, and Catching Freedom's going to have to pass them all. And so when you're odds on, and you're coming late on what is relatively a short stretch at Thistledowns, it's not Belmont Park with a long stretch. I think he's going to leave himself with a lot to do, and I'm not going to take him
at 2 to 5, Chad. Besides everything else,
and he's just going to keep taking money. He's going to get bet for sure. When you talk about Copper Tox, I have to give trainer Gary Capuano a lot of credit because this horse I thought was just a speed demon. I thought he was going to take him as far as he could, and when you go back to those early races, that's what he was. He was a speed horse, and when he's running those high sheet numbers, he was trying to go to the lead. He's completely reinvented himself. This horse is a closer now. He went from speed to now coming off the pace. So, listen, I give Gary Capuano a lot of credit because it's not easy to completely change a horse's running style and make it successful, and he's done that. His last 2 wins, going a mile and a 16th and a mile and an 8th, I didn't think this horse wanted to go 7 furlongs. And he's gotten him to go out a mile and an 8th, and I'll give him all the credit in the world to change the horse's training style, and you see what he's doing here. He's worked the horse 5 furlongs in a minute, then he comes back 6 furlongs in 1:14, 6 furlongs in 1:17, just playing with him now to keep him, for this race. He's trying to put that stamina into the horse, and I got a lot of respect for Gary Capuano in how he's trained this horse, Copper Tox, for sure. I don't like him in this race, but I do respect the training job that Gary's done.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because being a closer, that you're obviously, after what you said with Catching Freedom, you're going away from any horse that would be a closer in this race. So, all right, so that takes care of the top 2 horses for Chad. And let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the field. Let's take a look at the 2. Gould's Gold, a 5-1 shot. Hernandez on board, coming off a 13, ran a 12 in March. So you do have a couple of good races in there. Seems like the horse is a little inconsistent, but again, it's a 1 out of 5, 5-1, coming off a 13, John.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's got a shot if he repeats, but he doesn't seem to put 2 races together. That's his problem, but he's okay. He's not, Listen, again, it's going to be hard to keep Catching Freedom out of the number, I think. So how deep do you really want to go, and how many horses do you really want to use? It's McPeak, it's Brian Hernandez, so they've had quite a year so far, and this horse would have to improve a little bit, but not impossible.
I didn't think the horse wanted to go that far last time. We covered the Sir Barton on the air here when he ran in that race 2 starts back that Corporate Power was the winner for Shug McGahee. And he probably should have won. Shug's horse with the blinkers on kind of got the job done, and Shug's horse can be anything. I look forward to seeing Corporate Power run back next time. This horse ran the race of his life last time. Stretching back out here, though, to a mile and an 8th, I still don't know really that he wants to go that far, so I still have my reservations. And I don't like the fact that Kenny McPeak, who has a barn at Churchill Downs, Keeneland, and now Saratoga, I understand his better horses are at Saratoga. That's where Mystic Dan is. That's where Torpedo Anna is. But this horse has been up in Saratoga. That's a pain-in-the-ass ship to go from Saratoga to Thistledowns. And you're talking about, we're dealing with the heat. It's hot here on the East Coast.
Yeah, it's
the last 3 or 4 days. That's a long van ride in the heat. And those are things that a lot of times handicappers don't look at. When they're looking at races, they just look at the PPs and they see the horses in. They don't think about travel and things like that gets incorporated into it. And look, Kenny McPeak wins a lot of races out of town. He's a really good shipping trainer. But I'm going a distance further than I think the horse really wants to run. And you're adding in the fact that the horse might be a little cranky from the long ship, because I'm sure he's not going to be there for a week training. Is going to have me against Gould's Gold. I think he can hit the board, but he's not going to be my top selection.
How do you find out where a horse is actually?
If you look on their form, and you can also go on Equibase, but where their last workout was, if it's within a certain time frame, like here, Gould's Gold breezed on June 17th. which was that's Monday, right? So even if, I'm sure it didn't happen, even if he left on Tuesday, you only have a few days over there. In addition to the fact that he doesn't want to really go that far, I don't think. So that would be my concern on Gould's Gold. I wish he would have just stayed in Churchill, where he had been, and gone over to Thistle.
John, is another way to look at the sheets there with Gould's Gold that ran at 12 in March. The 16 was a bounce, came back with the 13?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would have rather. Yeah, you could do it. Fine.
All right. Next up, let's talk about a horse very fond, that John is very fond of, Uncle Heavy, the 6-1 shot, coming off the disappointing Preakness run and the Wood run. Did win the Withers, but unfortunately, after running a 12 in the Withers, we haven't really seen the best of Uncle Heavy yet, or since.
No, he continues to go backwards. Obviously, the 12 he ran has hurt him. He ran 12. He had time off. Could have run the 12. Or bet he went backwards 2 points. Then he ran more time off.
But John, we gotta take certain things into effect here, okay? After the Withers, he had to go to a farm because of the herpes outbreak, and then the Wood Memorial.
No, this is stuff behind the scenes that the public isn't privy to, that you're helping us with knowing it. So you have excuses for the bad races. That's fine.
And the Wood Memorial too was when that horse fell down. I think it did affect. I do think it affected the horse in the Wood Memorial. He was one of the horses that was affected. So I just throw a line. I throw a line through the Wood Memorial race. Like I completely that. If you're looking at the sheets, just take a pen and just cross it out, because I know the race happened, but in that horse's mind.
So then that's fine, because he has two excuses. Because the last race was the Preakness in a slop, so you could draw a line through that race too.
And again, my other problem with that is he wasn't pointing for the Preakness. This horse was going to go to the Peter Pan, or was going to go to the Long Branch at Monmouth, and the Preakness was falling apart. And I hate when trainers deviate from a plan. And Butch Reed is a great trainer. But when you go down that rabbit hole, the Preakness, it's the Preakness, you only get a chance so many times, it never works out. 1 in a million times it ever works out. So it wasn't a race they were necessarily pointing for. It was on the back burner. They ended up in the Preakness. It didn't work out. This is a much more logical spot. But I still think Uncle Heavy's long-term goal is a race like the Smarty Jones into the Pennsylvania Derby. And this is just a means to an end. And for that reason, he's not my top pick.
All right. Let's now talk about, I'll tell you what, next up, the 9, batting down an 8-1 shot. Alvarado on board. Coming off a 10, broke his maiden after 3 straight 15. So coming off a 10, John, it's been enough time though, right? I mean, we are almost late June.
Listen, he's got a shot at 8-1. It is a top. He's probably going to react, but if you really get 8-1, I could see using him.
So again, my concern is that this horse breathes that Monday at Saratoga. However, this horse has been at Saratoga for a long time, so it's not as much of a ship as the other horse who was in Kentucky, then New York, now back down. Batten Down is a brother to Tacitus, whose first crop yearlings are selling in July, in a couple weeks, and he's also a brother to Scylla, the horse that we don't know how to pronounce her name, that keeps on winning. Look, he's a very talented colt. Juddmonte Farm, which is since the ownership of Juddmonte passed away, they've always kind of been more conservative than aggressive, and they were adamant that they wanted to run this horse in the Belmont Stakes, and it took a lot to not run in the Belmont Stakes. This horse was going to run off the maiden win, which would have still been one more win than Protective had. Sorry, Team Napoli. But Batten Down was supposed to run on the Belmont Stakes off the maiden win. That means to me that Juddmonte and all those connections really think that this horse could be something special. He's the outlier in the race, where if this horse wins, he could certainly throw himself in the mix of the Travers, and people would be like, wow, yeah, he belongs. I'm very interested to watch this race. He's going to be my top selection at 8-1, and I think that I'm going to buy into the hype here. That last race, I know it was a mile and a quarter, kind of an unusual distance, but man, he was really, really good last time out.
All right, there you go. Coming off that 10, wire to wire, Chad going with Batten Down as his top choice. The rest of the horses are long shots. The 2 long shots that interests me, John, the most are the 3, Charleston, and the 7, Who's the King. You look at Charleston, you get the trainer change to a trainer who's having a really great meet. You also get the best rider, it looks like, maybe in the meet. So I think that's a really good combination. Obviously, Brad Cox was training this horse to begin with, so you got to give some credit there. The horse was doing okay. Made a switch, and that didn't work out. So now going back to a better trainer, in an environment where you got the trainer and the rider combo at 30-1. Also, 28, 21, 17, heading in the right direction this year. The 7, you're getting Safi Joseph. You're also getting a good rider who's also having a good meet. And I think what happened is after this horse ran a 15 in April, that was a new point top by 3. So I think what happened is he bounced to an 18. Now I'm expecting him to come back and have another, maybe, who knows, maybe get even a better 15. But again, these are long shots, the 3 and the 7.
What the hell's that 15 going to do for you in this spot?
I get that. But again, I'm looking for some long shots. So
okay. You can pick long shots, but they got to be able to win. I don't know how you're going to get this horse to the winner's circle, but anything is possible.
Well, I'd like for him to at least finish second. That's what I want. Okay. Yeah.
Greg, let me educate you here for a second on Charleston. He was trained by Brad Cox, and Brad Cox didn't like him, so he ran him for a claiming tag. He lost him. You're looking at the sheet numbers, 22, 21, 17. You know what I'm looking next to?
A 25.
11th by 20 lens, 9th by 22 lens, 3rd by 5. He's never won a race. Go in a maiden race. Stop with this nonsense. He's a 3-year-old. He's a 3-year-old in June. He's never won a race before. Just because he's with the local good guy at Thistledown isn't going to make me want to take him.
But I didn't say he was going to win.
That are more proven. He's never won a race.
I know. I'm not picking him to win.
Okay, well, don't pick him and run second or third either. Go get a popcorn. Go get a hot dog. Don't bet this horse to finish second. Please. He can't.
Save your money.
All right, so give us, how about all the other long shots in the race? What do you guys like? Any of them?
None of them. I don't like any of them. I don't know.
Got a root for deposition off the fall down on the Wood Memorial. He recovered to win an allowance race the other day.
All right.
Also, by the way, who's the king? Just real quick, owner Ken Ramsey undergoing kidney transplant surgery, I believe today.
Yes.
So certainly pulling for Ken Ramsey on that surgery that all goes well.
Yes, I heard the same thing, and our prayers and wishes are well wishes are with him. Selections 4 with 5, 8, 9. Cooper Tax with Uncle Heavy, Catching Freedom, Batting Down.
And Chad, you're going with the 9?
I'm going to go with the 9 Batting Down on top of the 2 Gould's Gold and a late running Catching Freedom.
So
okay.
what's the numbers on that? That's 9 2
2 8.
2 8.
9 with 2 8.
All right. And I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go with the 2 to win. I'm going to go with 2 5. What's that?
You had the whole thing that you said that the 8 couldn't lose. You were just playing to play around it.
You guys just talked me out of it.
Who'd you give out, Greg? I didn't hear it.
The 2 to win.
Yeah.
With the 5.
2 5. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, trust me. I'll do Catching Freedom with my 2 long shots,
so you'll be
just in case.
Betting horses you didn't give out on the show. That's
no, I'm just saying because I can't.
Do that,
you know what happens.
Anything I give out, I bet. You should just know that.
I'll tell you what, Greg. If you like Charlestown, go get a Charlestown shoe. Watch the race. Enjoy yourself.
Well, there you go.
I can afford $6.
Next week, what do we have? We have
we have the good one. Yeah, we have that.
Okay.
We have the Stephen Foster among others. So Churchill looks like a big racetrack for us next week.
Maybe we should go live because Chad, is New York closed next week? No, they're still running, right?
We're still running. They're closed in California.
Oh yeah,
as a preview to 2026 when they're closed for life. So there we go.
All right, guys. Appreciate it as always. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you.
All right. Also want to remind everybody to check out the link in the description.
Hit subscribe. They all tell me that. Told me to tell you that. I don't know what it means, but hit subscribe.
There you go. There it is. Subscribe. So check out Patreon, of course, and subscribe. But if for whatever reason, that's why we say to subscribe. If you don't or can't afford those $5 a month for Patreon, subscribing is an awesome way to help us out here on the channel. We have to hit 1,000 subscribers. So the quicker we can hit 1,000 subscribers, and we're halfway there, the quicker we can present every race for free here on YouTube that we handicap.